The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, it is brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, as I do every day. Gonna put their logo up in the corner for all you all to see. That's where you go. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day on this show and on YSN. We thank them for their wonderful sponsorship, and we continue to build a great relationship with Greenwood Chevrolet. Follow them on social media, especially follow their representatives, especially their representative Kevin Lawson on TikTok. He is a great, he's a great entertainer. He knows how to entertain you, but he's also a great sales rep for Greenwood and gets their name out there a lot on the socials. I went to school with him. I was part of his graduating class at YSU in the TCOM department. He did a really, really awesome work. One of the top of the class, I have to say. When we did I was in directing with him, and I was in video production with him. He knows how to make his stuff. So these videos that he puts out are very, very good. He knows what he's doing, and also a great sales rep for Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Shout out to Kevin Lawson. You'll see him on some of our commercials throughout our broadcast when you hear Greenwood Chevrolet. But with all that being said, this is today's show, and before we start, I want to just kind of throw out the way that today is going to go. It is a unicorn day. It's one of those days that happens every now and then here on Running Point where we just don't have an interview to play. Just the way the schedule worked out this week when we reached out to our people, the people that were going to be kind of interviewed for the week. They wanted several of them wanted Friday morning, so it just didn't work out to have someone on Thursday. Tried our best to kind of fill someone in. But it's just going to be me today. So hopefully that doesn't lose my viewership. Hopefully I'm enough for you guys. It's just going to be me kind of blabbering for a little bit. Might be a little bit shorter than normal, but we'll truck through. And we're going to have a really good show for you tomorrow because, like I said, there are several people that schedule interviews for tomorrow morning before the show. So we're going to have a good show for you tomorrow. We'll have a lot of interviews lined up from tomorrow into Monday with the interviews that are going to be being conducted in the morning. But once again, for today, just me, myself, and I as of now. And hey, it's going to happen every now and then. I think this is the first time that since I've taken over Running Point by myself that it's just me. So I'm pretty proud of that moment because the goal of this show is always almost knocked over. This is what happens when it's just me, right? Almost knocked over my mic. The goal of this show is always to bring people on, always to use this show every day to kind of share people's stories and people's seasons and the coaches' corners and the interviews. That's what this show is all about. It's not about putting my face on the air for an hour at all. So we strive to make sure there are no shows that go without somebody being on in some capacity, whether it be live or pre-recorded. But every now and then, just like everything else, it's just gonna happen where the days don't line up, right? So today it's just me, and we're gonna recap the action like we always do. We did have baseball and softball happen last night. It was kind of a weird day. The rain came late. A lot of teams moved their start time up to try to get the game in. Some teams tried to play at 5, were delayed. So we have a lot of unfinished games that are going to be finishing today. We have some finals that got in, and then we had some games that just unfortunately couldn't happen. So kind of a hodgepodge of stuff to recap from last night. We'll start with the official final scores, and we'll go over that. Then we'll kind of trace back and talk about some of these games and the ways that they went. So here are the scores from last night's games. We'll just go right over the scores in the order that they came into us. We will start with South Range Baseball, which are one of those teams that started early, and I believe, you correct me on this if anyone's from Jefferson or from Ashtabula County watching, I believe they were able to move this game up because Jefferson and the Ashtabula County schools are on spring break, so they were able to come. Like, I think their bus left for South Range at like 1 o'clock, which would not be normal protocol during a school day. But so Jefferson softball and baseball were able to come a little bit early because of I think, spring break. But either way, they started at 3:30, so they were able to get these games in well before the rain came yesterday evening. South Range Baseball, a second consecutive 10-0 win over Jefferson. Big bat in the lineup this night for South Range with Shane Lindstrom. He got the player of the game for that. And this Raider baseball team, 3-0 in the season, 2-0 in the NE8. They look good to start. They have not given up and run yet in conference play. So that's back-to-back shutouts against Jefferson. The next final to come in was Canfield beating Warren Harding 9-1 in the softball diamond. Another team that was able to start a little bit early. I believe their first pitch was slated for about 4. So they were able to get in this game and get out before the rain started. 9-1 was the final score there. We have South Range softball. This game took a little bit longer than the baseball game simply because Jefferson once again put up a big fight, 4-2. South Range gets to win. We'll talk a little bit more about that game after our scores. Then we go into Salem baseball. Impressive win, 12-0 over Columbiana. They shut out the Clippers, and their offense looked very good as well. Ursuline softball was able to get in the game at McCune Park, 14-1. YSU softball was in action at home against St. Bonaventure, so Ursuline had to get to McCune Park for this game. They were still able to get in, though. Middle Ridge came to town, and Ursuline won 14-1. Final score there. United Baseball got the win over Lisbon, 23-1, the final score there. And then East Liverpool got the win over Edison down on the turf in Edison, 9-3, the final score for the Potters. Last final of the night was from Brookfield, 12-0 on the softball diamond. They were able to beat Liberty. So there you go for the final scores. Now we'll kind of trek back and talk about some of these games, and then we'll talk about some of the things that kind of happened. There were still a couple of impressive things that happened before games got canceled. So obviously not the official final, but still stuff I want to kind of bring up, especially in champion softball. So they did something pretty spectacular before their game got delayed. We'll go back to South Range softball real quick, though, and I want to talk about this game with Jefferson. There's 2 dates in a row where Jefferson has given the Raiders a lot of trouble, especially with their pitching. Sam Speakman again got the start in the circle, and she gave up 3 runs to South Range in 7 innings 2 nights ago. I keep saying last night because I'm talking about this game, and I mean the last game. The last game they played before this one. It was that 3-0 win for South Range. So Speakman pitched really well against this lineup. Came in again, pitched really well. Gave up 2 runs through 7. Jefferson was able to tie it late at 2, force extra innings, and South Range really pushed with their back against the wall. This NE8, they can't afford losses because there are some good teams in there that might go, the whole season with it coming down to just the series against South Range. So the Raiders can't afford losses outside of those series that they think are going to be against teams that can really, really, really compete for the top spot of the conference. So here comes Jefferson, and they push the Raiders to the back of the wall, right? So here they go in the extra innings, top of the 8th inning, and someone that has really stepped up big so far for the Raiders, just 2 games in, is Sam Suzanne, and she stepped up again big time in this win She hit a home run in the 8th inning to kind of break the tie, and then they scored again on a Gretchen Bartel's sacrifice bunt that scored a run from third. So the Raiders offense immediately responded to Jefferson tying it up late in that game and forcing extra innings. Didn't waste any time. I bet that people knew rain was coming, right? So you didn't waste any time. They got right to it. And that is what this sport is all about. You have to be able to respond to adversity. When the other team makes their run or makes some impressive plays or maybe makes an impressive at bat to get you in a tough spot, how do you respond to that is a big deciding factor on whether or not teams are successful or not in this sport. And South Range did just that. Once again, Jefferson was the home team in this game, remember. So it was at South Range, but Jefferson was the designated home team for this. So they batted in the bottom of the inning, and South Range had a 2-0 lead in the 7th. Jefferson came up in the 7th, tied up at 2. Now, 9 times out of 10, when a team comes and ties the game like that in the bottom of the 7th inning and forces extras, they're the team that goes into extra innings with a lot of momentum and a lot of energy, right? I don't have numbers to back this up. This is just an Anthony Hartwig number out of his head. I would say 70, but I'm going to say 70%. 70% of the time, I would say if a team forces the extras in the bottom of an inning, bottom of the 7th, bottom of the 9th, whatever you're talking, baseball, college softball, 7 innings, 9 innings, doesn't matter. The bottom of the inning that would end regulation and force extras. I'm going to say 70. Just a number that I've picked out of my head sounds right. So this is not an official number at all. Not gonna sit here and act like I know the average of every sport result that's ever happened in baseball and softball. But 70%, in my experience, I feel like is a strong number of teams that tie up the game in the bottom of the end of regulation innings. So once again, 7th, 9th, whatever you're talking, baseball, softball. Those are the teams that win it in extras because they have the momentum. They have the energy. You know, it's hard to come right back up in the top of the next inning and score after the team just got this all big momentum. Shutdown innings are so impactful. You have to be able to shut down the other team after you score until you come back, right? So this is a shutdown inning in the top of the 8th. And usually the easier shutdown innings are the ones that take you into extras. You have so much energy because you just tied the game. You just forced extra innings, especially in a game like this where Jefferson comes in. They're the underdogs, right? They're not really expected to beat South Range from the outside perspective. Definitely they expect to beat South Range. That's one of the reasons why they're a good program, and they gave South Range a heck of a fight. They come in expecting to win. But from the outside perspective, they're not expected to win. They're the underdogs. They come in, they're down 2-0. They lost 3-0 the day before. Bottom of the 7th inning, they tied up at 2. They scored 2 runs. Props to them. They put up really good at bats. They tie it up. They have the energy, but South Range kind of gets it right back, and they do it with one of their stars. Like big players step up in big situations when it matters most. South Range is a team with a lot of players on the lineup that do a lot of great things, but at the end of the day, the ones that have been there and done that are the ones that have to step up in big situations this year, right? So the ones that have kind of the seniors that have kind of been in regional matchups, they've been in a state tournament, they're the ones in the big situations that they're going to have to step up. And that's what didn't happen last year in the regionals. You know, Coach DeRose in his coach's corner before the season started, he brought up like we as in a sense of he's talking about his team. We had a lot of opportunities to score in that game that just didn't come through. We couldn't get that timely hit. We couldn't get our players to come up in the big situations in that regional semifinal against Tuslaw. Tuslaw went on to go to the state championship and lose to Wheelersburg. So it's nice to see in this game, in a big situation, Sam Suzanne, who is someone who has been there, done that, played in the regionals, played in the state semifinal, has been there. She stepped up in the big way. She came to the plate. She knew her team needed to run. She worked a really good at bat. One of the things I love about our partners over at Game Changer is you can see in the recap, the breakdown of the at bat that she had a home run in. So if you go and you look at it, home run, she took a first pitch ball. I know she swung and missed at the first pitch. Then she took a pitch, and it was, you're looking at the video because once again, Game Changer lets you break down the at-bats. So I'm looking at the at-bat and I watched it last night. The second pitch, it wasn't an easy take. Like, it was kind of one of those border calls. And that's hard to do after you swing and miss at the first pitch. You're amped up. You want to score. You want to answer back to Jefferson. There's a lot of adrenaline going through your mind after you go into extras. The other team just tightened up. You want to be that hero. You want to be that person that steps up for your team. So you swing and a miss. And then I bet after that 0-1 count, the adrenaline starts going even further, right? So it's a really, really hard, in my opinion, in that situation to hold for ball one. And she does. She holds for ball one. She's starting to think in her at bat, I got to wait for my pitch. I got to pick my spot. I'm not going to chase Speakman's pitches. I got to make sure that when I see the ball where I want to hit it, I drill it, because Speakman is a pitcher that moves her ball really well. That's why she's a contact pitcher. That's why she makes a lot of weak contact when you watch her at bats. Like, she doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, right? She's a pitcher that pitches to weak contact because her ball moves a lot. So you got to pick one spot. And when that ball hits that one spot, you got to drill it. And so Sam Suzanne, 1-1 count. She's thinking in the batter's box, okay, this is my spot. I got to look for this spot. I got to drill it. Pitch comes right into her zone, right into the zone where she wants to have it. She puts a good swing on the ball and it goes. That's a big time moment, man. Like, to have that kind of at bat at that moment, 2-2 tie game, extra innings, rain on the horizon. You know you're not going to be playing for much longer. I think that's kind of one of those back of the head things that no one really says, but everybody really knows in that situation. You're probably not going to play another 2 innings with the rain coming. But in that situation, like I said, you swing at the first pitch, you miss it, and then that reset, that mental reset. Okay, I'm gonna watch for my pitch. One that's kind of close, doesn't chase it. It's a ball one that resets her, and then she comes back up at the next pitch. She looks for her spot, she finds it, she drills it for a home run, and then the Raiders go on to add that insurance run later on in the inning. The breakdown of the next at bat, it was an error that put someone on, and then, like I said, that error and then a stolen base, stole second and third, really. So an error in base running got the Raiders a runner on third in the 8th, and then Gretchen Bartels with the sacrifice bunt to score the extra run and go up 4-2. And then obviously it shut down inning the next time. And the next time up, as fly out, strikeout, 1-2-3, go the Falcons in the bottom of the 8th. So a really impressive game for the Raiders. Not because they won, but because of the way they won early in the season, based on the way that last year ended. I think that was probably one of the messages that Coach DeRose had all offseason and all the preseason preparing and all the scrimmages. Situational hitting, and in the points of the game where the other team gets a little bit of momentum, what are we going to do to snap back at that? Because one of the things that went wrong in that regional semifinal is every time Tuslaw would kind of take a little bit of advantage and a little bit of a momentum boost, the Raiders couldn't answer. They would put base runners on, but they couldn't get that timely hit. They got that timely hit. They got that situational hit, and it was because of a good mindset at the plate from Sam Suzanne, who is one of their veteran leaders, and showing everyone on that team kind of what a good at-bat looks like in that situation. So props to that. I love seeing the fact that it was one of their veterans that stepped up, and she has been stepping up already so far early in the season for the Raiders. They will play again tonight against Lakeview. This is going to be an NE8 series that's split a little bit. So they'll play Lakeview tonight, and then they won't play Lakeview again until next week, because they have Columbiana on Friday. So they play Lakeview tonight, and then they'll play Lakeview again. They're scheduled to play Lakeview again next Wednesday at Lakeview. They don't play at the high school anymore, by the way, Lakeview. They play at Candlelight Knolls. So just a scheduling note for Raider fans for next Wednesday. This is going to be a fun game tonight, though. Lakeview has looked really good this year, too. They have 2 dominating wins over Struthers. Ella Chadwick in the circle looks really dominant. Their offense is scoring. I'm excited for this Lakeview game. Look at the schedule. And then I'm really excited for Columbiana on Friday, who started off the season by beating a Division I Boardman team 4-3. So a couple of games next for the Raiders. I am stoked for on this softball time. The softball season got me so excited. Let's talk about something else that happened last night in a game that got delayed. This is Champion's first game of the season, and if anyone knows anything about me and has listened to this show as we prepared for softball season, and I kind of talked about what I expected from this softball season, one of the things that I've always said is not to count out this Champion program. I think a lot of people looked at them last year, and they had a down year for their standards for sure. They didn't really make it out of the districts. I don't think they I don't think they even made it to the district tournament. I think they got beat out in sectionals, which is very unfamiliar for Champion. I mean, you'd have to really dig back in the books to see a year where they don't make it to a district tournament. But when you look at it and you realize it, you dig deep into that season, they were really injury just riddled last year. They were down to probably their number 3 pitcher before the season started, being their number 1 because 2 pitchers went down with injuries before the season even started. So they had a lot of people down. They were not the full strength champion, and this is the full strength champion that we're seeing this year. And they just said from the jump, like, here, we're going to impress you. Here's what they did against Newton Falls. They only got in an inning and a half, so they didn't really get in much. But in the first inning, and this was at Newton Falls, so they're at the top of the first. This is how they start the game. First at bat of her high school career from Gabby Gardisher, because she was hurt last year, so she's a sophomore, but this is her first at bat of her high school career. Home run, right? Gone. Right after her, Addie Warzala, who's I think is one of the best catchers in the area, comes up, home run. What's after her? Bella Meyer in the lineup, home run. Back to back to back home runs for Champion. You look at that lineup, and it's like, who do you pitch? I love that. Who do you pitch to in those top 3? And one of the things I love in softball, and more coaches are doing it, especially at the college level, and I saw it a little bit in the pro level, start to trickle in. And then I see it like everything. It trickles from the pro to the college. And now we're starting to see some high school coaches buy into it. We're shifting away from that typical leadoff hitter that you want, where it's only about getting on base and you only want someone that can kind of use the small game and use their speed to lead off. And usually that's a leadoff hitter. That's a typical leadoff hitter. But now you're seeing a lot of softball teams and a lot of coaches put that person that fits that mold at the 9 spot to set the table for their leadoff hitter, who they want is their best extra base hitter. Like, they're one that is going to come up and be the biggest, maybe not the biggest home run threat, but the biggest, like, devastating hit threat, like doubles, triples, hits to the wall, hard hit balls that are hard to defend. Put that hitter at the top of the lineup, because what you do when you do that is you put the other team in the position of, right off the game, there's a pressure situation. I have to pitch to this girl. You don't want to lead off walk. A lot of teams don't want to start the game with a walk. They're not going to start the game with an intentional walk. So you're going to get a lot of teams that lead off the game by pitching to that person. And then what Champion does really well as well is they protect her too. So if they do walk her, they do pitch around her, you got Addie Warzala right behind her, and then you have Bella Meyer right behind her. Those 3 in that lineup, back to back to back, that's really hard to deal with. And then the rest of the lineup is good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Ziegler came up and hit a home run in the second inning. So they have other power bats. But to start off with those 3 and to put a pitcher into such a high stress situation right off the jump, I think is really smart, because there's a lot of lineups in softball, in high school softball, where the first 2 hitters aren't the high stress. I have to make sure my spots are perfect for this hitter. Usually that happens in the 3, 4, 5, your power, your cleanup hitters. That's when you will hit the hitters in a lot of lineups that you really have to, get nervous about. I just hit my mic because I talk with my hands. Those are the ones that you really have to be focusing. You're really scared of pitching to those hitters, right? So 4, 5, 6, that's where they kind of hit up in that lineup. But move those hitters to the 1 spot and make a pitcher have to sweat it out right from the start of the game. No room to even take a breath. First pitch in the circle, you better make it a good one, or this hitter can take you deep in a hurry. I love it. I love it. First time I ever saw a team, the first time I saw a team do that when I could really recognize the strategy of the game was in professional softball. I remember the Chicago Bandits in the MPF put Brittany Cervantes, who was their best power hitter at the time, went to Kentucky, good friend, put her at the top of the lineup. And I was like, man, I wonder why they're doing that, because they have some speed on that lineup. And all of a sudden that speed person, that slapper is in the 9 spot. And I'm thinking, man, she should be batting cleanup, because that's what I've been taught. That's what baseball kind of logic used to be. That's what you're kind of ingrained, is your cleanup hitter is always your power hitter. But the Bandits kind of just went, we're going to put our power hitter who's leading the league in home runs, and we're going to put her in the top spot. And we're going to make sure the pitchers have to really be nervous from the first pitch of the game. I love the mentality. And Cheryl Weaver did the same thing with putting Gardisher at the top of the lineup, number one. You have to deal with her, and if you don't, it's going to be a home run right from the start of the game. Love it. Love it. Cannot express how much I love that aggressiveness out of building a lineup anymore, because really the typical leadoff hitter, you in softball, small ball is so important. I'm not trying to take that away, but you said you can put her at the 9 spot, and in my opinion, the 9 spot can just be a de facto leadoff hitter too, because the 9 spot, your point is to set the table for the top of the order now. So your 9 spot just takes the same mindset. The only difference is they're in the 9 hole instead of the top hole. So you have maybe one less at bat. Maybe you get one less at bat than the leadoff hitter, but the mindset for that hitter is still the same. You want to get on base. You want to set the table for the hitters behind you. It just so happened that the hitter behind you is now in the leadoff spot instead of in the 2, 3, 4, 5 spot. So I think it's a really smart move. I love that strategy from Cheryl Weaver to put those 3 at the top 3 and just make the pitcher really have to focus in from the very start of the game. I don't know if it'll stay that way. Lineups definitely shift. That's the first game of the season. She has a lot of room to mix and match and see what works. That might have just been the one test. But I love it. If it stays that way, it's very, very smart, in my opinion, to just go right off the bat, right off the jump. As soon as you step into that circle as a pitcher, you're going to have to sweat out against one of our best hitters. And then they have really good hitters behind her, 2 and 3. So it's just a nerve-wracking situation to put a pitcher in without giving her any kind of room to breathe or get comfortable before she gets there, which is what would happen if there were 4, 5, 6, right? Okay, 4, 5, 6, you have the first 3 hitters. Not saying that you don't respect them. I'm not saying to just throw junk to them, but you're not in that mindset where it's like almost, I don't want to say fear, but super intimidation, right? Like, remember, if you're a college softball fan, Jocelyn Allo from Oklahoma, who broke the career home run record, she inspired fear into pitchers, like total intimidation. I have to make sure that every pitch I throw is right where I want it to go, or she's going to take it out of here. And putting a pitcher in that situation to start the game, I think, is brilliant. Why give them room to get comfortable? Why give them any kind of space to breathe? Just put them right in that high stress, sweated out situation right from the jump. If they get her out, you tip the hat and you say, okay, good pitching. But if they don't, then it can really snowball really quickly. So I think once again, I'm geeking out about that situation. I love it. I love seeing back to back jacks. That's fun. Champion and Newton Falls will continue their game today at 4:30 in Champion. They will continue that game, and then the second game of the series will be right after. We're going to see a lot of that today. There's going to be a lot of games today where they're going to finish the first game from last night, and then they'll just play the second game after. We're going to see that at different locations. So most of the ones I see from last night that got suspended are going to be where the game was supposed to be tonight, obviously. They'll just finish the first game. Home team will be where the home team's supposed to be, and then they'll start the next game when they can. So it might be a later night than usual for a lot of baseball and softball fans, because you got to think, if you're starting a game for a Champion, let's just take them for example, since we're talking about their game. They were in the bottom of the second inning. So I know Champion's up 13-0. So unless things go really wacky, that should be a 5-inning game, unless Newton Falls makes a comeback, which they could. But either way, it's probably going to take at least 30 minutes to finish that game, and then you start the one next right after it. So if things go right, you'll have a 5:00 start time. But if Newton Falls makes a comeback, or at least scores 4 runs, because the run rule is 10. So if they score 4 runs and they have 3 innings to do it, then you start to get kind of dicey, because, man, you have to play a 7-inning game. That's going to take a lot longer than a half an hour. You're not going to start that second game until maybe 5:30, closer to 6, and then they're going to be fighting daylight, So a lot of softball teams tonight are going to be put in some crazy situation. Baseball teams too, but there are some baseball teams that moved to Scene Park, and obviously Scene Park has the lights, so they don't have to deal with losing sunlight. And I think there are several scene games that got pushed back to a 4 o'clock start time to make room for those doubleheader situations as well. So that's kind of what today's going to look like from a softball and baseball perspective. A lot of games that are getting resumed before the next game starts right after. But that's my worry when I saw that. I was like, what if these games go a lot longer than you think, and then, you're fighting daylight to kind of finish? That's going to be interesting to kind of see how a lot of teams navigate that. It's why Scene Park is really a good place, because you don't have to worry about losing daylight at all. You just play under lights. What Tuesday, the last game of the night, the first pitch was like 8:40. Our guys did a great job sticking it out and being out there, but that's something else. That just tells you, like, once again, you can do a lot of things with Scene Park, and they are a very good resource for our baseball teams. If your field's unplayable, you just call Bob Beam and you say, hey, do you have a field available? We don't care if we play at 7, or we don't care if we play at 8:40. We want a game. So Scene Park is definitely a big component of that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a couple of other things to talk about. We'll preview the games for tonight, get you set up for what games are happening tonight. It should be a night full of baseball and softball. The only thing I worry about is field conditions, but all in all, I don't think it rained too much in a lot of places. So tonight should be good to go for softball and baseball. Sun's out. It's going to be a little bit cold. We'll go over all that when we get back on Running Point. As always, it's going to be brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a minute.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com or find us on Facebook.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Now that our commercial break is over, I'll put their logo back in to the top right corner of your screen so you always know where to look. If you're in the market for a new or used car, make sure to head over to Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on this show and at YSN every single day. We thank them for their constant sponsorship and support of the network and this show indeed. So let's get on to the next half of the show. We're gonna preview the things that are going on tonight. Before we do, shout out to opening day. Hope everyone enjoys it. For baseball fans, MLB fans, this is like Christmas Day. It's where you kind of start. It's a long off season, especially for the Royals and the teams that don't make the playoffs. So a happy opening day to everybody. The Royals' first pitch is 4:10. I know the Indians still not used to Guardians. WFMJ put a question out there yesterday. Are you used to saying the Guardians yet? And I just answered it live on the show because I almost went right into Indians, and it amazes me how quick the announcers for that team got it in. Obviously, they probably did a lot of work off the air just saying Guardians, so they would make sure they never said the Indians. But all their broadcasts, like I never heard of someone slip and say Indians. They did it once, but it was like a gag where they didn't on purpose just to kind of have some fun with it. But that I heard. Obviously, I'm not a Guardians fan, so I didn't watch every Guardians game. They might have slipped up, but the ones that I did watch when you get the time to flip on a baseball game, never really heard anyone flip it. I never heard one of the ESPN or MLB Network guys do it either. Pretty impressive, because I obviously just did it twice in one show. Not a professional. There you go. One of the things that I saw on social today as you're flipping through, and this, I'm not going to name names, but this is a guy that's on like national, baseball talk, right? So he's a national guy. I think a lot of baseball fans know him. Obviously he knows a lot about baseball, or else he wouldn't be in the position he is. But there must have been some comments or some stuff on social media saying that he didn't know what he was talking about for baseball, and he felt the need to kind of go on and say, I know baseball. And I think the words he used were like, I know more baseball than you can shake a stick at, which definitely made me like, what? I don't know what that must be an old phrase. I don't get it. But anyway, he's defending his own knowledge. And I was sitting there and I was just like, this is an Anthony Hartwig tangent, so I apologize. But I was sitting there like, do you really need, like, if you're confident in your own knowledge, do you have to go on and pound your chest and tell us all about how much you know? And I think he knows a lot, and I'm not going to say he doesn't. I'm not one of those people that are like, he knows nothing. Obviously, he's in the position he's in because he's put in the work, and he's definitely been involved in the sport, and he probably knows a lot more about it than I do. But like, there's like that insecurity there a little bit when you have to kind of go on and you have to make this kind of big dramatic social media post, and you have to kind of pound your chest and say, I know what I'm talking about. And I feel like that was he was talking to the social media followers, but I feel like he, in a metaphorical term, he's putting a mirror right up and trying to tell himself that he knows a lot. That's the only reason you say that, right? That's the only reason you talk like that, is because you're telling yourself, you're trying to you're trying to encourage yourself that you know what you're talking about after comments made that you don't. So I've just that kind of one of the things I was like, ooh, made my screen call, because I think if you're a confident guy, if you're confident in your knowledge, you don't have to pound your chest about how much you know. You just kind of put out your knowledge, put out what you know, put out your opinion, and then, if people don't agree with it or people think you don't know what you're talking about, you let them do that. But if you're confident in yourself, confident in your knowledge and your ability, then you just kind of let them go, and you don't have to look into the mirror and pound your chest saying, I know what I'm talking about. I know more baseball than you ever will. That's kind of when people say stuff like that, it comes off this wrong to me. So that was a complete tangent. I don't know why I got onto it. Just one of those things, right? Confidence, not ego. Confidence and ego are two completely separate things. Don't want to get on that tangent. Well, we'll get right back to the previews of tonight's games. We'll get back on track. Take my my brain tangent out of it. So let's go into today's games. We're gonna have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 baseball games on the network tonight. And I'm looking at the spreadsheet and that Quinn Pushkar so diligently works at. And right now, no baseball cancellations to report. So we'll go right into the games that'll be on the network tonight, and then we'll shout out the announcers that will be there. 5 o'clock start time in Crestview for baseball. Camel Memorial coming to town. Noah Doty going to be on the call there. Heartland Christian goes to Columbiana. Joe Eusebio will be on the call. 5 o'clock first pitch. Hubbard will go to Poland. This is a makeup game, so if you're looking at the original schedule, Poland was supposed to be at Fitch tonight, so do not go to a Poland at Fitch game. It is not happening. Poland is hosting Hubbard to make up their league games. One of the things you'll learn about the spring sports as you go, if you're kind of new to the scene of high school spring sports, league games being made up will always come first. So teams will always bump a non-league game to make up a league game. So Hubbard at Poland, that's the NE8 matchup. It'll be on the baseball diamond tonight. 5 o'clock first pitch. Matt Morrison will be on the call. Lakeview will go to South Range. It'll be Chris Colucci and Jimmy Powell. They're doing a great job this baseball season. They'll be on the call again for the Bulldogs and Raiders. 5 o'clock first pitch. Latonia will be Louisville. I almost said Louisville, like the college team. No, Louisville. Scene 2 will be the host of that one. It'll be at 5 o'clock. Now, Fitch did pick up a game since they had to they had to not have Poland come to town. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin will be at Fitch tonight. 5 o'clock first pitch. Matt Mayer and Jordan will have the call there. Eric Hughes is going to be at scene 2, by the way, for Latonia Louisville. Don't want to miss his shout out. He does a lot of great work for us. 5 o'clock first pitch in scene 1, and it will be Salem at Cardinal Mooney. Salem with that impressive win yesterday, 12-0 over Columbiana, so they look to continue their momentum into today. 5 o'clock is your first pitch, scene 1. Also on the network, 7 o'clock first pitch at scene 1. Right after that first game, Struthers versus Warren JFK. Ian O'Brien will be on the call there at scene. Here are some baseball games that are still happening tonight. Hoban will be hosting Highland. Brookfield will travel to Liberty. 5 o'clock first pitch for all of these, unless I specify otherwise. Garrettsville Garfield goes to LaBrea. Mogador goes to Jackson Milton. Champion hosts Newton Falls. Western Reserve goes to Southern. Youngstown East will be at Sebring, and Beaver Local goes to East Palestine tonight at 5 o'clock. Here are the softball games that'll be on the network tonight. Aurora goes to Austintown Fitch. Hold on. Come on, voice. Get through. Aurora will be at Austintown Fitch, and that'll be at 5. Thought I could. That'll be a 5 o'clock start time. I will be in Poland tonight as they will open their brand new softball facility against Hubbard at 5 o'clock. The opening ceremony starts at 4:30. So Poland fans, get down there for a treat early. Excuse me. To see all that. 4:30 is when you start time. First pitch of the game's at 5. Lakeview will be at South Range. DJ Yoakley will be on the call there at 5 o'clock. And then United will go to Edison, and Chris Sigler will make the trip down to Richmond for that one. 5 o'clock first pitch. Tori Firth has not given up a hit yet in this season. She didn't pitch the whole game. They took her out after 3 innings against Lisbon the second time. But in her 8 innings, I'm trying to do the math. Her 8 innings pitched so far this season, she has not given up a hit. Also happening tonight on the softball diamond in Boardman, they will welcome in Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. They have to replace. This is a new game on the schedule. They were supposed to host the Lake tonight. Lake has canceled on them, so they replaced the Lake with Notre Dame Cathedral Latin in DCL. Brookfield will be at Liberty at 5 o'clock. That'll be game 2 of that MVAC series. Brookfield won 12-0 yesterday. Brush will be at Lakeside. Campbell will be at Crestview, so that'll be an MVAC matchup on the baseball and softball diamond. Columbiana will travel to Salem. Conneaut goes to Jefferson. That game has been pushed to a 4 o'clock start time, by the way. Thanks to our Jefferson friends for letting us know about that. Crestwood will be at Howland. That's going to be a good game. Crestwood, a non-YSN school, but they are a regional powerhouse in softball. They are always kind of in the mix when you're talking about teams that can compete to go to Firestone Stadium. Garfield will be at LeBray tonight. Maslin Jackson goes to Hoban. Jackson Milton will be at East Palestine tonight. Newton Falls at Champion. That'll be, remember, the doubleheader because they will finish the game they started last night and then start a new game. So 4:30 is the start time for that continuation, and then whenever they get done, they'll start game 2 of that series. Niles will be at Girard. West Branch goes to Canfield tonight. Wheeling Central will be at Wheeling Central Catholic, will be at East Liverpool. Youngstown East will be at Sebring, and I do apologize because a cancellation just came through. So this is live on the network. Lowville at Struthers tonight. Softball has been canceled. We will have tennis on the network tonight as well. 3:45 is your serve. Lakeview versus Struthers. Bob Zaney will be on the call there. So we will have tennis on the network as well from Struthers. West Branch at Canfield. That is the start of the Joanne Kernan breast cancer awareness tournament that will be going on throughout the entire weekend. We got an email today though to update on that. Friday's Joanne Kernan tournament games at Macune Park have been canceled, so they're not going to be playing on Friday. They're going to look to getting games on Saturday, but the Friday games, unfortunately, with the weather forecast being iffy, and they know that they have a lot of teams in that tournament coming from a little bit further away, so they didn't want to waste a trip. So they have canceled Friday's games. We will stay updated on what is happening for Saturday. The tentative consideration right now is trying to push Saturday's games up a couple of hours. They were supposed to start at 11 a.m. at Macune Park, so they're going to push them back a little bit and hope that can beat some of the weather. So that's the tentative thing. It's not official. It's just kind of what they're throwing around. So that's what's happening at Macune Park for the Joanne Kernan Classic. We will stay updated on that for sure and come back tomorrow with more updates on that weekend tournament. I'm supposed to be there on Saturday for 3 games, so it should be a really fun time at Macune Park. Hopefully the Mother Nature and the weather will give us a break and we'll be able to really have some fun down there at one of the best softball facilities that you'll ever find. So in the area, I mean, they have so many softball fields. You could play a whole tournament there. And of course, it was the former home of YSU softball not too long ago. I think that's why Ursuline has it as a backup. It used to host YSU before YSU built that beautiful softball facility on campus. Before we go, we have a couple of minutes since we're talking about YSU. Shout out to the former YSN players that are shining so bright on the YSU softball field right now. We have Sophie Howell from Champion, Megan Turner from Champion. They're both playing extremely well. Sophie Howell is one of the leaders in the circle for them. Conchetta Rinaldi from Cardinal Mooney is one of the best catchers in the Horizon League statistically. In my opinion, the best, period. You know, you go past statistics. We've been able to watch her for a long time. Such a vocal leader behind the plate. And she called her own pitches last year. She knows how to call a game. This year they got a pitching coach, so a lot of that stress has been taken off her shoulders, but she's still able to do it, which is a high-level catcher thing to do. And she's actually picking up the bat this year too, a lot. And then Bree Kohler, starting her second year at YSU, a former South Range Raider. So all of our YSN people at YSU softball are doing an excellent job. I love got to see them play The one day it was before softball started here, was the Tuesday they were hosting they were hosting one of the Horizon League teams. I'm trying to Fort Wayne, Purdue Fort Wayne. They were hosting Purdue Fort Wayne. Got to go and watch that doubleheader. They were able to win both games. Megan Turner hit a home run in the first game to get YSU on track, and then of course they were able to win the second game too. So a lot of fun watching our YSN people succeed at the next level. We have a bunch of them. Whenever we get the chance to share articles or impressive things that former YSN athletes have done in college, we definitely do that. I want to take the time to encourage you, if you're listening and you have someone that is playing in college that is a former YSN athlete and they're doing a lot of great things, tag us in social media. We would love to share these things. One of the things that we are is a pillar of what we do is loyal, right? So we are loyal to these athletes after they leave their YSN school. We love supporting them and seeing what they're doing. So if you have a YSN alum, someone from a YSN family school that is doing a lot of great things as a college athlete, please, by all means, tag us in social media. Send us an update. We would love to share it. We share it in our story on Instagram. We'll share it on Facebook. We'll retweet it on Twitter. Whatever we need to do to get it out there and let these athletes know how proud we are of them and how proud we are to be a part of their journey to start. Because we started their journey in high school, and we are so proud that they're coming and they're doing a lot of great things at the college level, whether it's D1, D2, D3, JUCO, doesn't really matter. If you are succeeding at the next level, we are proud of you and we want to know about it. So full disclosure, full open door policy, right? So if you're, like I said, you're doing great things in college and you want to let us know, tag us. We'd love to share your accomplishments and what you are doing at the college level. Love to do it. So that'll do it for today's show. On that note, we previewed all the stuff that's happening tonight. Should be a full slate of softball and baseball. Can't wait to recap it tomorrow with you. And like I said, tomorrow, back to a normal show. We'll have some. My voice is telling me stop. We'll have guests on tomorrow. We got a couple of interviews conducting in the morning, so we'll have a normal show tomorrow. You won't have to hear me ramble on for an hour long. So we're gonna hit the brakes on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Enjoy the games that are happening tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow